there is this phenomenon with visibility. And I first experienced it before I knew there was a name for it. And what happened was I was walking in the grocery store and somebody came up to me and started having a conversation with me about stuff I had posted online that honestly, I knew she didn't comment on my stuff because I didn't know who she was. Pretty much I check out everybody that comments, just FYI. But she started talking to me about my daughter, asking if we were feeling better. So it was somebody who had seen one of my posts recently that we were sick. And this would have been back in 2019. And it felt very weird and it felt very awkward because she talked to me like we knew each other, like I knew exactly who she was. And so I come home and I ask my husband, like, do you know this person? Like maybe they know you and they don't know me. He has no idea what I'm talking about. And so I come to realize that I really don't know who this person is. She is a lurker, like I am. And she totally is watching my content, right? But not commenting. So she's consuming all of it and not commenting. The second time that this happened, I was at my daughter's birthday party, not in this town that I live in. And so it was like 25 minutes away. This lady comes up to me in this bowling alley type game place. And she says, "Oh my God, I love your content. Like, I love how you talk about marketing. I love all the things that you say and blah, blah, blah." Again. And then she finally said, I'm neighbors with, there was a mom there and she goes, "I'm neighbors with her." And so I went and asked my friend Beth, I was like, "Who is that?" And so she told me, and again, somebody that I've never seen comment or like any of my posts, but she knew who I was, right? So this phenomenon has a name and it's called parasocial relationships. If you've ever thought, like growing up, if you were like a diehard like boy band fan or something like that, and you knew their birthdays and you knew everything that they liked and disliked and all of these things, that is pretty much the same as having a parasocial relationship. You feel like you know them. And especially kids today growing up with social media, because, you know, when I grew up, it was only TV, but now we have social media and they're coming on TikTok and they're coming on all these places and they fall in love with who you are. If you're willing to share that, if you're willing to let them in, if you're willing to do more than just regurgitate what they can literally go read on Google right now, right? Like if you're doing things from your experience, if you're talking about things from your failures and your breakthroughs and your comebacks and all of that stuff, that is the difference between people who can create these relationships online and the people that cannot. I've been talking about content a lot lately because it's so important to me. And there's so many fascinating things that content can do for your business. And a lot of that leads into visibility and how we show up, right? How are we showing up? How are we presenting ourselves to our audiences? Video is always going to create more parasocial relationships than any other type of content. Let's be honest, right? It's the quickest way to like, know, and trust. It's the quickest way to, I like you, I don't like you. And that's okay. Be okay with that. Be okay that we attract some people and we repel others. It's okay. We can be an attraction machine and a repelling machine, because if we're just, are we memorable? If we're just so, are people going to know our name? No, we're not. Activate your audience. That's part of that parasocial relationship. But it is also getting them to keep coming back, because nobody watched my content for one day and said, "Oh my God, I know her," and then comes talk to me in the grocery store, right? No one's doing that. But when they watch my content months after months after months, that is when they feel like, I know her. I know everything about her. She talks about her dog. She talks about being sick. She talks about this. She talks about visibility. She's sharing it all. And so I want you to ask yourself right now, where is the gap? Where are we seeing this gap in your business? Where are we seeing this gap in your visibility strategy? Can you build parasocial relationships without video? Yes, it's just going to be very hard. And I don't mean quantity, like, oh, I've got to create a million times more content, because I think quality has more to do with it than quantity. Yes, the consistency has to be there. Absolutely. But the parasocial relationship typically happens when they see you, when they see your face. It's hard to build that relationship with text. It's hard to build that relationship with words. It's hard to build that relationship with a graphic, right? And so the importance of that parasocial relationship is huge. Now, there's also people that take advantage of that, and it's not good, right? Like, I mean, it's not a healthy situation. However, I didn't know parasocial relationships even were a thing. But once I did, I'm like, wait a minute. I get to show up more authentically. I get to show up more vulnerably. I get to show up in a way that if somebody literally meets me outside of video or outside of social media, I'm still the same person, right? This past weekend, this week when I was at a conference, someone came up to me, and we have been friends on Facebook for a really long time. And he's commented on my stuff, but we've never really had a conversation. And I honestly didn't know what he looked like because I just never paid attention to that. And he came up to me and he said, "You're Chrissy Connor." And I was like, "Yeah." And like, my introvert awkwardness came out. And I say, and I do talk about this all the time, in real life situations, I can be very awkward and my introvert comes out and I get very shy and I don't know what to say, right? If I'm presenting on a stage, that's totally different because I put my game face on. I'm ready to pour into you. The same thing with video. I'm ready to pour into you, right? But being authentic is one of the most valuable things I can tell you. The last speaker at Funnel Hacking Live was Marcus. I need to like see how to pronounce his last name. Limonozzi, I think. I don't know. That's probably really jacking it up. But he did this show, The Profit. And the two things he said, somebody said, what are the things holding back most entrepreneurs, business owners from growth, from getting where they want to go, from the staying power, from playing bigger and all that stuff? And the two things he said was honesty and transparency. That we mostly have an honesty and transparency problem because we are afraid to show up as we are. We are afraid to be vulnerable. We are afraid to admit our mistakes. We are afraid to not be the smartest person in the room. So how can we build those relationships with, even if it's not a parasocial relationship, but build a relationship with your audience by being more vulnerable, by being more real, by really being more hot mess if that's who you are, right? By being more authentic. Authenticity will never serve you wrong. It will never go wrong. Yes, some people may not like it. Yes, some people may be repelled by it, but the others are going to fall in love with you. The others are going to be like, oh my gosh, I love her. Oh my gosh. Thank God I'm not the only person that feels that way. Thank goodness this is like not just me. Because real true authenticity, I cannot talk today. What it does is it bridges that relatability factor. How am I not alone? How am I not the only weirdo out here that does this? I'll never forget when I posted a post because I literally thought I was the only person. And I said, I just met somebody who I admire and I respect that also loves room temperature water. I'm not the only weirdo. And then all these people commented, I didn't know you liked room temperature water. Oh my gosh, I do too. Like, and then we got to hear the conversation going around. I also love sparkling water. Like, people love sparkling water, man. It's like popular. Like, it's so popular. I bought like a machine to make sparkling water. I just love the bubbles. I love the bubbles. It also like totally takes up I love Coca-Cola. Like, not a Pepsi fan, Coca-Cola. But man, like having those bubbles just like doesn't make me miss that as much. Or sometimes it's a little shot of Coca-Cola with a lot of carbonated water. That's fine. But anyhow, How can we be more vulnerable? How can we build those relationships? Your content, the way you show up, your visibility strategy should all be building relationships, whether they're parasocial or not. They should be building relationships with your audience of, I love her, I don't like her. Attraction, repelling. And that's what a good visibility strategy is going to do for you. So, if that is not something you have worked on, if that is something you get to work on, let's figure it out. If you ever need help, reach out to me. It's Chrissy Connor on Instagram and Chrissy Connor everywhere else. Make sure you check out thevisibilityqueen.com and we can chat more about how I can serve and support you in this capacity.